Do you mean that literally? Like, was there a fall of man when Adam and Eve ate the forbidden fruit?
I think so. In fact, actually, there's almost scientific proof that everybody on the earth right now did descend from two people. Mm-hmm. I mean, in other words, we are all descended from two parents. And you know what the scientists who know that call them? Adam and Eve.
Right.
Yes, I mean, now, so anyhow.
So there was a Garden of Eden.
Something like that.
Something like that?
Yeah. There had to be, I mean, when you read the gospel, when you read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, very often the same incident is told, and it doesn't contradict, and yet it's so interesting to see what one account leaves out. It's so fascinating. So, gee, if that really happened, if Luke said that happened, why didn't Mark mention it? And the answer is Mark didn't want. So there could be a whole lot of other things that happened back then that we're not told about. It's a need-to-know basis we're given. So I think there was an original place where we turned away from God, and that has been passed down to us.
Well, here's something that's always bugged me. Why did God put that tree in the garden to begin with?
Now, you know what? Finally, you've asked me a question I can really answer well. Because I've been acting like all of my answers are good, but I know that some of them are better than others. No, what's interesting about the tree is there doesn't seem to be any particular reason to forbid it, right? I mean, he says, you can eat all the trees of the garden except this one. And he doesn't tell them why. Now, I had a 10-year-old, one of my middle son. My middle son used to always, he was a very hard person, very hard child to get to obey. And, I would say to him, obey me. I'm your father. I've told you to do this. Just do it because I've told you. You know what he would always say? He would always say, Dad, I'd be happy to obey if you could just make it reasonable. Just tell me why this is helpful for me or the human race or whatever. Right. And I would say, if you only obey me when I explain it to you, then you're not obeying me. You're just agreeing with me. And I said, I want you to obey because I'm 45 and you're 10. I know a little more about life than you do, and I don't want to have to explain it to you because I couldn't get it into your 10-year-old brain. Uh-huh. All right. So God says, don't eat the tree, no explanation. And I think that's it. The point is, I want you to obey the tree just because you love me, just because I'm God and you're not. I want you to do something not because it profits you, not because you knew the reason why. I want you to do something just because, I'm Lord and Savior and you're not. Just do it. Just do it because you love me for myself alone. And they didn't. Huh. And you know what? I mean, I don't know all my relationship to Adam and Eve. All I know is that if I was Adam and Eve and they were here answering your questions, I would have done the same thing. In other words, my understanding of my relationship with them is they were my representatives. And what does that mean? What it means is that if I was there, you were there, we would have done the same thing. That there's enough solidarity between me and them. I think that's what the Bible's teaching. That you can't say, well, why am I suffering for what they did? If I was there, I would have done it. I say, yeah, sure, you would have read the Bible. No, it doesn't work that way. So that's my best take on it.
Final question.